Sensation. I'm your host, Dan, and in this episode, I'm going to be taking a look at one of my favorite comics of all time, Dr. Peculiar, #1. Let's dive in, shall we? Okay, so here we are. This is, as I said, one of my favorite comics. The first issue of Dr. Peculiar. It's one of only a handful of comics that were put out under the Madison Comics label. All the comics were ones that were produced by the fellow who self-published these. You look at this cover and you see it. This is not by John Jacobs. This is artwork by Lee Carlson. This is the only thing he's done. It looks kind of like a regular independent, this could be the cover of any of those comics from the black and white comic boom when everybody was putting out their own version of a superhero comic. The cover makes it look a little regular, like an amateur version of a regular comic. But here's John Jacobs. This is a letter from the publisher to the reader, talking about how his comics are going to be different than the regular. They're going to be just a little different. He's not going to spoil the surprise about just how different, but it's because he's so passionate about the comics. He had been a huge comic fan for 30 years. Didn't think it was a practical way. When he saw the kind of comics that were being published, he didn't think he had a place at any of the big publishers. But then with the rise of comic shops and all these independent comics getting published out there, like the black and white boom kind of thing, he thought, hey, now's my chance to get in here. And he dedicates this issue to Jack Kirby and the late Wally Wood. The thing about the Dr. Peculiar comics is, and this is a story by John Jacobs, art by John Jacobs. Now it also has Ken Landgraf is listed here. Now, whenever I would talk about these comics to people, they'd always go, "Oh, the Ken Landgraf comic." But I think it should be known as a John Jacobs comic. Now, this artwork looks very Ken Landgraf. Who knows how loose the artwork is. John Jacobs gets the credit as the artist, so but Ken Landgraf has a very unique style of his own, and and it looks very similar to his. So where the cutoff is, how much of this is John Jacobs, what it would look like beforehand, before he passed it off to Ken Landgraf, I don't know. But like I said, I'd rather people think about this as a John Jacobs comic and not Ken Landgraf, because it's very unique, and I think John Jacobs deserves to be. They're about to reissue a couple of Ken Landgraf comics, Floating World Comics is, and I highly recommend them. They're going to be great. They said late this year, 2023, or early next. I'm really looking forward to them. Floating Worlds has been doing a great job, thanks to the Power Comics, YouTube channel, finding these things to reissue. And the New York City Outlaws book by Ken Landgraf is going to be fantastic. I guarantee it. I wish that they would find out who to work with to get these reissued, because they're great. So the thing is, he's talking about how he's making his own comics universe. And so this does what a lot of people who did these independent things do, and they think that the big selling point of Marvel and DC is these universes with hundreds of characters. Is they try and pack an issue full of new characters they're going to just introduce and expect you to love the same way you love the whole Marvel bullpen type of thing. So the whole Marvel roster, rather. Of course, that doesn't really work that way. The other thing is there is a religious element to this. The thing is, it's some of it seems campy, and I think he means it to be that way. But I also think he means these to be exciting comics and fun comics. And the fact is, the fact that I can't tell for sure what is serious, what might be goofy, whether there's actually anything that's supposed to be taken fun, you know, supposed to be funny, I can't tell. And that's why I love it. It's not one of those ones where somebody has purposely tried to make a bad comic thinking that alone would be funny. I can't make a good comic, so I'll just make a bad one. And here it is. Haha. This is not that. He's trying to make a good comic. I think he wants to make it exciting. Um, uh, but it's just really weird. It's really weird. And, you know, this alien is sitting around bored and just decides he wants to invade Earth. He calls up his generals, and you can see the creatures all there's some that there's all the aliens all look different and weird. And here's our hero, Dr. Peculiar, but in his human disguise. Well, he's not human, but his alter ego, and his girlfriend, who's asked to marry him 200 times, but she's secretly saying, like, I wish he were more like Dr. Peculiar. And in his thought balloon, he's going, if only I could tell her I'm Dr. Peculiar, but I don't dare. So he goes to church to pray for help and for guidance. And there they are at the church service. And he gets, as he's coming out, he gets greeted by someone who says, the general needs to see you. He goes, General Stormer, that can only mean one thing, an urgent job, a job for Dr. Peculiar. That is very, very much an early, or some of the weird, it's a DC looking costume that's from one of those disposable heroes that falls in and out of the ranks of one of those multi-hero titles they have. Anyway, the aliens know there's superheroes on Earth that might cause them a problem, so he goes, I'll disrupt the weather in various places to keep them busy. And what the heck is this blasted stuff? In the town of Los Pecos, it begins to rain thick, gooey syrup. You see it falling on this guy's head. And so the different superheroes start springing into action. Lady X. And here you see a cityscape done up John Jacobs style. And I like, these are definitely power comic cars and stuff. And then they start introducing you to all the different superheroes. Baltimore's greatest hero, and John Jacobs was from this area. So Baltimore's greatest hero, the Purple Unicorn, comes a-running. Then there's Alaska's famous hero, the Bronze Bruin. Then there's Arlington, Virginia, which is where John Jacobs actually lived, comes the Turkey. Dinosaur Man to the rescue. And there's Lois, Dr. Peculiar's girlfriend, trying to ring him up. And this is a favorite page of a famous cartoonist, as you'll find out in just a minute. I'll talk about it. Black Vulture of the Andes. In England, the Green Lance and his robot knights. The Red Octopus of the USSR. And then as we go along, Dr. Peculiar's going up there, and he's meeting all these alien monsters that the invaders use for their guards. Wild stuff. His version of Kirby machines. And more great just full of great monsters here. And then they introduce even more heroes as you get back here. Another hero from West Virginia, Rainbow, B.O. In Hollywood, California, the Silver Shield. In Alberta, Canada, the Maple Leaf. In Detroit, Michigan, the Human Dog. Rough. This weather's rough. In Africa, Flame Tree. Ms. Biz, champion of free enterprise. The Jackass, Hee-Haw. Hanuman from India. And in Southern Maryland, the Sow. See, obviously, I mean, it's, what's the teen one that Superboy goes to join the future, the Legion of Superheroes or something like that. I mean, it's no crazier than some of those characters, but I don't know how serious you're meant to take it. And then Lady X gets her own story here, and gets to meet this monster, and it says, he said it likes to copulate with its victims before gobbling them up. Brrr. Its jaws slaver as it anticipates a delicious meal. And she gets captured. And luckily so her companion comes and rescues her, which is too bad that she couldn't save herself on her fit. But this is supposed to be her first mission, her origin story. And then once again, another crazy monster. And then there's one last little story, Muffy Brandon, Space Explorer. And there's the leader of the pigeon people emits a satisfied coo. And then he's wearing pants and his tail is sticking out the back. And then there's even more crazy monsters. So that's the first issue. I'm sorry I didn't read you more of the dialogue. The dialogue is really great, but I didn't want this video to be too long. I hope you can see why I love this book so much and why I want it reissued so badly. And one other thing I thought I'd point out, this book, which came out in 2006, and covers many cartoonists, that I really like. It's in the studio, Visits with Contemporary Cartoonists. I don't know how I missed it at the time, but, too many good things come out. I was interested in film, cartoons, regular books. I used to go see music all the time and collect records and stuff. I mean, I was just all over the place. And so somehow I missed this. Dang, I had the page marked. Now I realize that the thing has fallen out. One of my favorite cartoonists of that wave of independence that was put out by Fantagraphics was Daniel Klaus. And I did not know this at the time. It turns out he is a huge Dr. Peculiar fan. There's the cover to the first issue. There's one of the pages with he got his signed by John Jacobs. And then he did this painting where he has two of the monsters from Dr. Peculiar getting together for a date. That's the one that likes to copulate and then eat it. And this is one of the monsters that Buffy runs into. So I did not know that was happening. I did not know it. And that's a great, great thing to find out, that one of your favorite cartoonists also likes this very obscure, really, comic artist. And I thought I'd point out here, like I said, I don't really know. I would like to have seen how much of the artwork, what the artwork that John Jacobs sent to Ken Landgraf to ink looked like, because it's looks a lot like Ken's stuff. Some of the layouts are a little wonkier than I think Ken would have done, but I'm not sure. But this is just to point out that Ken is still drawing, and he worked with Ken Landgraf did the story. Kirk Oldford did the story, of course. Ken Landgraf did the art, and this just came out in 2023. It was a Kickstarter thing. I'm sure if you search the web, you can find it for sale independently. This guy gets a skeleton hand that he uses to battle all different kinds, a lot of ninjas, all different kinds of people. I bought it off the Kickstarter, but I just paid the minimum amount for a copy of the comic. They also had where if you paid extra money, you could have your face put into what they're calling a mosh pit. So part of it's, he's at a club, you know, and there's monsters jumping into a mosh pit where people were slam dancing, and you could get your face in this mosh pit. Some of them are happily still going along, and some of them are being attacked by the little monsters. So there was that. Like I said, I did not pay the extra money for that, unfortunately. But there you go. Ken Landgraf's still out there. And like I said, you know, one of his greatest achievements is the New York City Outlaw comics. And those are going to be reissued by Floating World Comics. So keep an eye out for them. And in the meantime, take it easy.